Trust. Who do you trust? Your family? Your government? Yourself? Why do you trust? Is it commitment? Integrity? What about a certain consistency of professional competence? If your ex-wife hires a very good lawyer who fleeces you down, wouldn't you want to hire the same lawyer for your second divorce to fleece her down? Today we will abuse the trust society has in its professionals to our advantage as mercenaries in the favorite game of oil barons and chief executive officers, Total War Warhammer 3. With 100 legendary lords across 24 races, I have a lot of choice, but a mercenary lord was included with the game's latest update. This is the ideal male body. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. Golgfag Maneater, an infamous Ogre Kingdom mercenary who has some very unique campaign mechanics that I will absolutely exploit to my great amusement. Day 1. We have ogres, we have a camp. More importantly though, we have a great hunger for both meat and gold. Luckily, the mercenary contracts mechanic of this faction will help us get more gold than Mansa Musa, and more meat than the Liver King could ever eat. We take Ostland as our very first client, helping settle a border dispute with their neighbor Nordland. To complete a mercenary contract, we have to take hostile military actions against my client's enemy, publicizing their browsing history, sending them offensive memes, and stealing their Amazon packages, that sort of thing. So we start off our first contract by turning one of Nordland's armies, who had unknowingly strayed too close to the morally flexible Golgfag, into a 3-course meal. With the border army gone, we take the town of Norden and give it to Ostland for gold and contract progression. We besiege Salzenmund, the capital of Nordland, but this is just a clever ruse to lure Nordland's last army out into the waiting maws of my ogres. My strategy works too. Now I just have to win a battle with a handful of heroes and 3 ogre units against a couple thousand humans. A tide of blue and yellow clad state troops advance on my small host. Fear thee not though, viewer, for I have a very detailed and strategic plan. First, my lead belchers will show you why you should never bring a crossbow to a cannon fight. Second, charge all my units straight into a center line. The intention here is to kill off their general, which will hurt the enemy's morale. The battle turns a bit messy and we take a fair amount of damage, but in the end we break the Nordlanders' morale and they flee. All of the ogres do pretty well, but in particular the lead belchers are brutal. I won't be relying on them too much though, as fun as that might have been. With just a small amount of pillaging in the countryside, we have enough progression to finish our contract with Ostland. We are paid handsomely for our noble efforts. After a contract is finished, you can immediately make peace with whatever factions you are fighting in your role as a soldier of fortune. And despite my territorial conquests, killing one of their nobles and turning many of their citizens into military rations, I suffer no diplomatic penalties with Nordland. After all, it was nothing personal, it's just business. In fact, Nordland trusts in my aptitude so much, they are offering me a contract against Ostland. So, we conquer Norden a second time and sell it back to Nordland. We have a dicey battle with Ostland's leader Valmir von Rakov. We won, but it was a good reminder that an ogre's prestigious girth might make them ideal for slamming into the enemy lines, but also ideal targets for enemy ranged units. Unfortunately, this contract fails when Nordland is destroyed by the Nurgle-worshipping Fekendites and a roving beastman horde that was not part of my contractual duties to fight. The debate on who should control the town of Norden is finally put to rest. Golgfag takes a few turns to consolidate and use the meat to upgrade his ogre camp. This allows me to finally start recruiting more Maneater units. Because I like to roleplay, even in my strategy games, I gave myself some rules at the start of this game to make my campaign more thematic. My armies would be centered around Maneaters. I could take as many heroes and regiments of renown as I wanted. Non-Maneater ogre infantry, cavalry, and Noblars are off the table. For every 2 Maneaters, I will allow myself a lead belcher or artillery unit. Camp and settlement garrisons are excluded from these rules. Those are the nonsensical and arbitrary rules I've given myself for no other reason than I want to roleplay as a proper Maneater mercenary. When I have finished recruiting my new units, I take a contract from Talabecland to fight against the Fekendites, a zealous, anti-vaxxer religious state. I do battle with the diseased and plague-bearing hordes of Nurgle outside of their home, the Brass Keep. I can't say my tactics have changed much, but I changed something that still works. Gifting the brass keep to our client nets us a huge profit and enough contract progression to instantly complete it. We guarantee client satisfaction 60% of the time, every time. I use my surplus of meat and gold to create a second ogre camp, a couple of small armies, and recruit more heroes. My lords and heroes are all named after commenters on my videos. I have quite a few heroes running about, so I do apologize if your character doesn't get much of the spotlight. At the end of the video, we will take a look at all of them though, so stay tuned for that. After helping Reikland, I decided to take a contract with the Vampires of Sylvania against Reikland. The high IQ amongst you may start seeing a pattern here. I retake the brass keep from my previous client, though this time I decide to keep it for myself. It will make a lovely capital and summer retreat for Golgfag. We capture Talpine, the capital of Reikland, and sell it to the vampires, though so far from their own territory I doubt they will retain control of it. That's their problem to figure out though. Personally, I only care about unseemly piles of gold and fulfilling my contracts to the letter. We capture and auction off a few more settlements, fight a series of battles across the Empire, whatever needs done to earn our salaries. In fact, a job very well done. We take our payment from the undead and move on. I took a short break from ping-ponging wars as Golgfag has a quest battle to do for his legendary item.
Well, how's about this? Nashrak sorted us a good payday, yeah? Just try not to snack on too many goblins on the job. Not that we've ever done that, of course. Right, we get up there, smash some dwarves and get paid. But be sure to watch your backs.
We do the usual ogre tactics of charging straight in and flattening our enemies beneath us. Nothing too fancy or difficult here.
I thought I told you to stop munching on the gobos you get. You're fired. Ah, shut it, why don't ya? I've gone off goblins anyway. Horrible little pointy things. All right then. Let's see if these dwarves are hiring instead.
Yep, that honestly went about how I should have expected. A more appropriate quest battle does not exist. As long as we're paid, what does it matter who does the paying? Now, I have this awesome legendary item. Bugman's attempt at brewing something so vile that even Gopniks would be unable to stomach it, but an ogre's metabolism was never taken into consideration. Another day, another contract. This time from the Wintertooth Norskins against the Reikland, another Empire faction. Karl Franz isn't messing around though, and launches multiple attacks against my camps. The first attack, I repel. The second, not so much. Golgfag catches 2 Imperial armies trying to sneak into his last camp. It's a large battle, and we both bring a +1. We prove our racial ogre supremacy here though, and send Karl Franz and his frat buddies running. Meanwhile, my other armies have gone to Karl Franz's home in Altdorf, and captured it in retribution for our destroyed camp. Of course, I sell Altdorf to the supreme Reddit mod, Throg. We skirmish with the Empire for a while around our final camp, which works as a very nice processing plant. Humans go in, then meat and experience points come out. Eventually the contract is fulfilled though. Can you guess what happens next? If you guessed I turned my cloak and now work for Reikland, you'd be surprisingly wrong, actually. I took a contract in the Chaos Waste to fight against the BDSM cults. Then I signed a contract with Reikland. Karl Franz was so impressed with our prowess in the capturing and despoiling of Altdorf that he was just begging for our services. So we begin our Great Northern Norscan campaign. This time we actually take the land for ourselves. Ogre settlements are pretty shit compared to their camps, but it's still nice to get a little extra gold production and an increase on our hero limits. While I do have a huge amount of gold saved up, my running costs have also skyrocketed lately. After the near extinction level genocide we've inflicted on Wintertooth, they want me to fight for them again, and hey, I'm a neutral party, an enlightened centrist if you will. Both sides are obviously equally bad. The Empire has their window taxes, and the Norskins sacrifice humans to literal demons. There truly is no good choice here. I may have bitten off more than I could chew this time, as surprising as that might be for an ogre. The Empire is just too powerful for me to do very much in the south, and the dwarves keep using underground passages to escape me in the north. So despite my eventual completion of the contract, it is a bit of a slog. In fact, I personally wish every dwarf's beard would fall out and never grow back. That every stepping stool in their lands goes missing. I find them quite infuriating. They attacked my new northern camp with bombers and an airship so heavily armed it would have made Ferdinand von Zeppelin cream his pants. I was unable to repel these technological marvels with my camp's garrison. But despite these hardships, we still complete our contract again. Golgfag and myself were so displeased with fighting all of these guns that we took a contract outside of the Norscan and Imperial conflict, allowing them time to settle their differences. We instead decided to help the French out. They have a problem with a demon residing out on a small island off their coast. The campaign goes quite smoothly. Bellicor and his friends were unable to stop our advance. Golgfag took the 3 settlements of Albion for himself. He has to fight a couple battles, but nothing too interesting, and I have nothing further to report here. Tired of the cold and dreary northern climate, we took a vacation down south to help out with the woke crusade, the Chevaliers de Lioness. Chevaliers de Lioness. Chevalier? Lioness? I don't fucking know, that's some French shit. Golgfag's army is an unstoppable force of nature now. I can auto-resolve almost any battle he gets into, and regenerate his losses in foreign territory by the next turn. He and all his heroes have leveled up substantially and are equipped with the good stuff. The Maneater units have also improved, either through the research tree or through Golgfag's unique traits. For now, Golgfag's elite army rampages across the Badlands, taking on Khorne demons and slaying the great Skarbrand himself. But mostly I harassed the Ironclaw works. I took many of their settlements, and despite this, the Greenskins were too cowardly to ever meet me in battle. When I finished my contract, I sold many of these settlements, at least the ones not gifted to my client, back to the Ironclaw works. Old habits die hard, and would it surprise you that I take what would become my last contract of this game with the Greenskins and retake all of the settlements I had given to my previous client. I then sell them to my new client. Golgfag is single-handedly keeping cartographers in business with every new contract. Back up north, 2 of my armies march into Vissenland, and I take Nuln for myself as well. A city renowned for its engineering will be very useful in the arms race with the dwarves. After a bit of mucking around, Golgfag makes his way to the city of Sartosa, a pirate haven and the last battle of my campaign. It's tradition for me to manually fight whatever the final battle is, even if it's an easy one, so Sartosa was, in my opinion, a good one thematically. We politely knock on their gate first, but when they don't open for us, we knock a little bit louder with the Iron Blaster cannon. Not wanting to bottleneck in the gateway, we send in our brave companions and Golgfag to make some space. We melt the Bretonnian infantry with pillars of majestic fire. Once we've pushed them back, the Golgfag Maneaters come charging in to smash apart any remaining resistance. And if that wasn't bad enough for the poor Bretonnian peasant levies, the Leadbelchers are here too. From point-blank range, not even an ogre can miss. It's never a good day to be a peasant in Bretonnia, but I think this marks one of the worst for them. We easily win the battle and take Sartosa as a southern headquarters for our Maneaters. It is here that we will bookmark Golgfag's adventures, as we have just won the campaign by conquering very little land, betraying everyone, not participating in the endgame crisis, and making fat stacks of money while doing it. We could go on and finish a longer campaign victory condition, but I think I've made my point. To end things, Golgfag has commissioned a propaganda film showing the exploits of the Ogre Heroes that I named after my commenters, defeating the vampiric endgame crisis that we totally didn't ignore earlier. Please enjoy, and thank you so much for watching.